Okay, how's it going, folks? Appreciate the patience there. Once again, kind of having a little bit of tech issues. It's kind of funny because I'm on a couple different Facebook podcasting groups, and one of the questions that was recently asked was, "What's your biggest fear when doing a podcast?" And my answer to that was tech problems. And lo and behold, we got more tech problems today. It's so funny because I spent an hour adjusting OBS settings and getting everything set up, and then when I went to go start it up, everything changed again. So never count on something to work. You want to definitely set things up for success, but always plan for something not working and having to pivot last minute, because I swear that's how it goes with anything tech related. But I think I got it. It's not my ideal video setting. I noticed it's a little bit different. For some reason, it's even a little bit blurry. I have no idea what's going on with that. But just going to have to get me by for this episode until I tweak it once again and figure out what the hell is going on with that. So anyways, appreciate your patience on the wait and basically on me and my shenanigans. Welcome to the Virus Podcast. My name is Ben. This is not a COVID-19 podcast. In fact, this is a podcast where I have contagious conversations, or contagious combos rather, and viral viewpoints. And so there's a lot of things that come to my mind. There's a lot of things I study, a lot of things I look into, and I have questions, and I like to talk about them, and I like to just vent, and I like to get people's feedback, and I like to contribute. And that's what this is about. And so I'm slowly thinking about converting this podcast into more of a, the contribution side and more of a value add podcast. It's cool, I review things. I talk about, whatever UFC fights and movies or whatever. I hardly ever review any movies because I don't watch that many movies. But you know what I'm saying. I'll review certain things and kind of just go on tangents and talk about stuff that's irrelevant to self-improvement, which is the most important thing to me at this stage of my life and has been in the last 3 years. And so I just really want to try to pivot this podcast and just be a little more self-improvement focused and kind of just take you guys on my journey with, being a Grant Cardone licensee trainee and on my path to eventually being certified and kind of trying to set up my second stream of income rather than being dependent on my main stream of income, which is my home improvement business. But anyways, that's kind of my long-term goal, which is probably going to happen here pretty shortly. I just think I can provide a little more value, even if I'm talking about stuff business related or self-improvement related. It's all of the stuff is really relevant to everyday life application. So I think I'm going to start sticking with that. I enjoy it the most. I can talk about it the most. I have the most content when it comes to that stuff. And I'm constantly, and the reason for that is because I study it and I train for it every single day. And so if I sound a little off, it's because I've been fighting this cold the last few days. And it started out with just having runny nose and puffy eyes. Thought it was just like allergies or something, and then I started having a sore throat the last couple of days. And so today's been a little bit better, a lot better actually. I definitely feel a lot better, and I don't feel like I'm sneezing all over the place. That was the biggest irritation. I was literally going through a couple boxes of tissue in the last few days and blowing my nose every half hour. But anyways, bear with me on that because like I said, I'm kind of getting over that and I need to get some of this juice up in me. There we go. Okay. Now, anyways, you guys can find me and this podcast live streams on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, posted content on Instagram, Twitter, and Spotify. So give us a like, give me a share, subscribe, follow me, and show me a little bit of love so I can keep this momentum rolling as I transition into what I was explaining earlier, into more of a self-improvement type podcast. All right. All right, well, just a quick recap of my week. Like I said, my week was kind of really off. I wasn't very productive, and to be honest, I'm kind of disappointed. And that's just how it goes, you know, when you get sick or you get something that kind of diminishes your activity and your production levels. For me, it's difficult and it's irritating, it's frustrating because I like to be productive, not to be confused with being busy. And we'll talk a little bit about that specific comment here as I get into the contagious combo. But yeah, being busy and being productive, two different things completely. And so, yeah, my production levels went down. You know, I have this huge list. Where's my list? This list is what my list looks like. It's usually a couple pages long, and it just gets stuff added to it every day. And so when I have to put off the list, or there's certain things on the list that I can't do in a day, it's pretty frustrating because it just gets backed up. And with so many things going on, I need to be on top of it. That's the type of individual I want to be. It helps me focus, helps me feel a little more accomplished as I'm, checking off things on this list. You guys know what I'm talking about. When you make a list, you start checking it off. It's pretty powerful, right? You feel accomplished. You feel good about yourself. And so this was not one of those weeks for me. And so it's been a little frustrating. I'm hoping that this next week is going to be the opposite of that. I'm going to, be even more productive and kind of just surpass my average productivity levels here in the last few weeks as I kind of grow and learn new skills, So yeah, but other than that, my week was pretty good, I guess. Well, it was really good, actually. I mean, we still made a lot of sales. Between me and my sales rep and my business, we've really been selling a lot of products, and I'm really happy with the way my action and productivity has really turned the amount of revenue coming in. It's just turned it around dramatically, where I started out barely scraping by in the first year. I mean, there was jobs I worked on, I lost money on, basically did it for free or paid money even to finish the job in the long run. There's nothing worse than that feeling, especially with someone like me, where I was actually building stuff and wearing a tool belt. This is tough work, when I sit there and do that and then I don't make any money on it, it's very demotivating and discouraging on yourself, your confidence, and it was a bummer. But yeah, from that year, making maybe 100K, maybe I don't think it got up to a couple 100K. I don't even think it was close to that. To having a week like we've had this last week, between me and my sales rep, we've sold, I think we're almost 150K in sales just in this week. So pretty crazy how I've transitioned the profit margins, the pitch process, the sales, the whole approach, the advertising, the marketing, the amount of effort, execution, and action that I've been taking has really just turned this thing around. And I'm still not even close to where I want to be. I have so much more potential, so much more to do, that I'm just getting started, and that's a good feeling. But it is nice to know that if I need to sell something, I can. It's just a matter of me and my productivity levels, my action, the amount of calls I make, the amount of appointments I set up, the amount of advertising I do, the amount of follow-up I do. Super key factor right there. The follow-up has been a huge game changer for me. Just learning about follow-up, learning the numbers on follow-up. I think I talked about the follow-up a little bit a couple episodes back. It might have been episode 69. That's just been a huge game changer for me. And the follow-up, again, is not just business related. I know if anybody's listening to this or you watch this later on, if you watch this and you think all I'm talking about is business, you're completely misunderstood. You're completely wrong. The follow-up can apply to anything in your life. All these things I talk about will apply to anything in your life. It has for me, and it's worked in my business and my life. Things are dramatically different, and so I highly encourage people to If you hear me talking about something that doesn't sound like it would, you can't relate to, or it's not even relevant to your life because you don't do X, Y, and Z, just I encourage you to just give it a second thought, give it some time, think how can this actually apply to your life, and you actually find yourself noticing that almost all of it will in fact fit your lifestyle and can benefit you in the most powerful way if you apply it. You actually just apply it. So let's talk about some of these things that I've learned. So I recently did I kind of completed my first certificate level 1 training. It was a 30-day training program. Basically took me a little bit more because I got behind a couple days. Took me about 33 days, I think. But I got it done. And now I'm on level 2, which involves, and basically just in case you're wondering what the certificate licensee training is for level 1, you basically watch a series of videos and have a bunch of follow-up questions, follow-up questions that you answer, and based on the video that you watch to make sure that you're actually paying attention and actually learn something. And so I finished that. Good feeling. I learned a ton of stuff. That's part of where I learned about the follow-up, and I learned a ton of other things. I wrote all this stuff down. I got so much, I must have wrote 10 pages of notes on that level 1 licensee training course. I'm on the second one, and it consists of 10X Bootcamp, which if you've ever seen Grant Cardone's material he's been pushing out, 10X Bootcamp is something that he's really been advertising heavily to people and trying to get them to come and check out at a very low price. I think he's charging like $100 just to come check it out virtually. I mean, obviously it's probably more than that to attend the live event, but to attend it on the virtual event and is just as good. I mean, the content there is just holy crap. The amount of content, valuable content on there, it just blows my mind. I just watched the first 10X Bootcamp video, and it just blew my mind. And the thing I like about that is you got people in the audience who are also employees, entrepreneurs, business owners, managers, executives, all in there, and they kind of do the Q&A thing and ask just everyday questions, about how can someone raise their productivity levels? How can someone create more interest? How can someone stay engaged and not disconnected from the business they work for, or as a business owner, how can I get my employees engaged more and not distract? It's so many just questions from just the normal average guy that's looking to get better at things in life. And I like that because you can hear a lot of those questions everybody can relate to. Matter of fact, every single question that was asked by the audience, I can relate to, and I have at one time. And so it's just a great course. Some of the things that, out of all the value that I get from Grant Cardone's content, some of the most, let me wipe my nose. I'll make sure I don't got no boogers on my face while I'm doing a podcast. But some of the easiest digestible content that I get is his one-liners. I don't know. I don't know if that's just me or a lot of other people, but just simple one-liners really catch me. They're a hook for me. They catch my attention and they resonate because it's simple, it's quick, and it's easy to digest, and it really just imprints my mind and incepts my thought process for a long period of time. And that's what I love. And I like a lot of Grant Cardone's, one-liners, his sayings, his statements, his terms. A lot of it's very valuable to me. And those are the type of things that have really helped me turn around my life in general. And so I want to talk about some of those things right now and kind of give you my opinion of it, maybe get some feedback on it, and give you my thoughts on it as far as how I interpreted some of these things. So we talked a lot about, let's just go through this. So one of my favorite sayings that he has is have dreams so big that your problems pale in comparison. Another one is the difference between, I just talked about this earlier, but there is a difference between being busy and being productive. That's not really his saying, but I wrote it down as a note. Here's a good statement that he has. It's not who you know, it's who knows you. And so that's a very misinterpreted statement. A lot of people think that, I've heard that been thrown around quite a bit. It's who you know. A lot of people that are it usually comes in a negative form when someone says that, or like, oh well, he knows somebody. The reason he's where he's at is because he knows somebody. It's who you know. It's the same dumb saying as, it takes money to make money. It's not necessarily true. And so another saying he likes is people do not cost money. This is something that has really benefited me, actually. People do not cost money. Not making money costs money. All right. The problem is not saving. The problem is you are not making enough money. That is something that I had to hear a lot. That's something I have to completely always tell myself to make sure I'm staying active and making sure that I'm creating a lot of cash flow so that I don't get stuck in that ridiculous mindset thinking that people cost money. Here's another one. Where you lack creativity, you lack commitment. It's so true. If you are lacking creativity, or you find yourself in a writer's block or something of that nature, you're just having a real hard time trying to get motivated, you're lacking commitment. Because the first thing that needs to happen is you need to have a commitment to whatever it is. This is not about business. Again, don't think that I'm talking about business. This could be your life. This could be your marriage. This could be your parenting. This could be a friendship. This could be anything. Being a better employee. You know what I mean? If you're lacking that creativity in any of those departments, you're lacking a level of commitment. And you need to start there. And you need to take a look at that and ask yourself, what is my level of commitment to this project, to this endeavor, to this path, to this thing that I thought I was really interested in? The other thing is, another saying that he has is money is useless. Money is useless until it is used. And a follow-up to that is money follows attention as well. Another one that I just learned today from the 10X Bootcamp was the moment you make money more important than time, you make less money. So you lose money, essentially. The most commonly thrown around term that he has been coined for, which was in his 10X book, you might have heard this before, but he says success is your duty. Very popular term that he's made, that he's coined. It's and the whole idea behind that is, well, I can get into that here in a little bit, but success is your duty in a nutshell is that you should make success your obligation and not treat it as a option. It's you owe it to yourself, your family, to be successful, and to do anything less is selfish. And that's something I've had to learn as well. And that's the type of mindset that has helped me shift, things for me and just look at life and the activities that I'm doing in a different form. All right. So let's start at the top here. With, again, one of my favorite sayings by him was have dreams so big that your problems pale in comparison. It's such a powerful statement. People oftentimes put their dreams on the sidelines and they forget about it, really. You get caught up in life, you're getting pulled different directions, you're getting busy with the everyday 9-to-5 job, 40 hours a week, and I don't know what else you're doing on the weekend, but your dreams just kind of fall on the wayside, and your problems kind of surpass and are kind of on the forefront. And they feel so real because there's a lot of them, and they're right in your face. They're apparent. They're relevant. They're current. And so I really value that statement because it gets you to kind of look into what are your dreams first. Like, ask yourself, like, what is something that I really want to do? What is something I really want to start? What is something that will bring me value to my life? Maybe create some income, some cash flow, how can I get started on this project, on whatever this thing is, and make it real. Start putting energy and time into it as a side hustle. You don't even have to just fully jump into it, commit, and then start making your problems not real. You definitely got to address your problems. You definitely got to approach it and get in front of them. Oh, and by the way, I would suggest to anybody who has problems, get in front of them. That's been something that I've always done. As of late, especially, there was a time in my business where I kind of was real hesitant on calling people back. Definitely had no follow-up. I could still use a little bit of work on my follow-up now, which I am working and developing that real ideal follow-up program. But I really lacked that in the past. And so it's been a huge game changer for me as well, is to just, as soon as a problem comes up, get in front of it and solve it. The faster you can solve a problem, the better you're going to feel. It really is so empowering and so motivational. Your confidence level just goes up and up and up very quickly the faster you can solve a problem. I got to deal with this a lot because that's what I do, especially when we got a ton of orders backed up and I have to, let's say, give some bad news to 30 different people all in a 2-hour period. Those are problems. Those are things I got to get in front of. Those are calls I got to make. Those are emails I got to make. Oh, and by the way, if you can call them, do that. I recommend, just for me, it's a lot easier to kind of send out some emails regarding that, because I can copy and paste what a manufacturer, for instance, if I have a delay in product and the manufacturer sends me an explanation for that, I can copy and paste that with my explanation saying, look, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, guys, but we got a backup here. We're doing our best to catch up. We will update you as we get closer. I really appreciate your patience. Again, the only thing I really say is I'm sorry. We'll get through this. Like I said, we'll be in touch and keep you updated so that nobody's guessing on what's happening. I posted the letter from the manufacturer so that you can get an idea of where they're coming from and what they had to say about it. If you have any questions, get a hold of me. Have a nice rest of your day. And it's a lot easier for me to send all that rather than call every individual. And some I do call, but that's kind of that's still getting in front of it, solving that problem. In that case, not really solving that problem, but addressing the problem is really what that example is referring to. But even that, address a problem, get in front of it. If you can't solve it, address it. Let them know what you're doing to fix that and solve that problem. People want to know, and the faster you can communicate to somebody, that's something. Oh man, that is something I've really learned. And again, this can apply to your life. People like speed. People like speed and efficiency. If you can reply to somebody and follow up with them really quick, the faster you can do that, the better. It shows a huge level of confidence in you. And it shows a big respect factor comes with that too. You know what I mean? And how much you actually value a person. When you get back to them really quick, they love that. And you're going to get a ton of value. Speed has been one of the reasons why I've been able to close people more consistently, more frequently, and just more in general when I'm selling a product. If someone reaches out and has an inquiry, I get back to them immediately. Usually I'll call them or reach out and say, hey, we're going to have a rep reach out to you. What's your number? We'd love to help. I don't even ask too many questions anymore. My whole approach is pivoted, obviously. I used to kind of ask some very dumb and unnecessary questions. I don't do that anymore. I just ask them, I'd be happy to help you. Thanks for reaching out. What's your phone number? We'll have a rep be in touch with you as soon as possible. And then they always follow through with that. We reach out to them. We answer some questions, set something up if we need to. We move forward. Let's put it that way. Just moving forward as fast as you can is the key. And you'll be surprised, even if just the speed factor. You'll be surprised how just that alone is going to get you more of what you want. And just using that tactic. It's not even a tactic. A tactic has a bad rap, but that skill. Let's call it a skill. Speed is a skill. All right. And don't hesitate, because I've done this in the past where I've been, hesitant to call somebody because I don't know how to break it to them. Even with bad news, I don't know how to tell them bad news. I don't want to talk to them, especially if it's kind of an unpleasant person to talk to or a real aggressive person. I would delay. I would hesitate. Then they would call me and surprise me, and I would be on the phone like stuttering and not knowing what to say because I'm caught off guard. So speed puts you on the offense, puts you in a confidence bracket. It just gets you feeling a lot better about yourself, and it will get the person that you're responding to feeling better about you as well. So I would think about that. And again, not just applying to business. This can apply to all those things I said before: parenting, work, being an employee, marriage. If your wife asks you a question and you tell her, it's a serious question, you guys may be having some things to work through, and she asks you a question that's a serious question you probably should answer. You don't have an answer to it. You tell her, hey, I kind of need to think about it. And then you put her off for a few days, and a few days goes by, and she has to come back to you and say, hey, so have you thought about it? That's an example of how you can, speed that process up. You can either answer the question right then, or say, hey, you know what, I hadn't thought about it, but I'm gonna think about this right now. We're gonna work through this. Or you can say, I'll get back to you tomorrow. I should have something. I'll have this time to think about it. Speed can be used in that scenario as well. It can be used in parenting. Kids want answers now. Kids are very impatient. People are very impatient, especially kids. And so the faster you can give anybody an answer or an update, if you don't have an answer, give them an update, give them an expectation of when you can answer it and when you can solve that problem. That stuff's going to benefit your life in general. So again, that's just an example of how these skills can be applied to your life, not just business. So don't get it twisted here. Don't think that all these things that I'm talking about are the things that I kind of recite that Grant Cardone talks about that has helped me in my business. Hasn't already helped me in my life as well, because it has, and it can you as well if you actually just give it a shot. So yeah, going back to have dreams so big that your problems pale in comparison. Super valuable for me, because it just keeps my dreams. One thing I'm going to start doing that Grant Cardone has been doing every day is writing down his goals in the morning. There was a time where I wrote it a few times a year, and I think I'm going to start giving that a shot as well. And again, speed, the frequency, consistency, volume, that's kind of what's going to keep that really relevant in your mind every day. I think it's going to value me too, to write down my goals every day that involve my dreams. And so I'm going to give it a shot. I'll let you guys know, how it's impacted me, if it's impacted me, if I feel like, if there's any value that I feel it's added to my life, if it's hard to do, if it's not, excuse me, I got hiccups. So yeah, I'm going to start doing that. It's worked for him. It's worked for a lot of his mentees that have tried it as well. So I'm going to give it a shot. I think it's very valuable. But yeah, very, very valuable saying. I love that one. And so I talked a little bit about the difference between being busy and productive. Now this, being busy has a nice little shiny, people love using that term, right? It's such a get out of jail free term, and a word that gets thrown around really loosely. People use that word when they probably shouldn't even be using that word. Being busy, I think people get that confused with, and again, this is something I learned in the 10X bootcamp. Being busy is not the same as being productive. People that are high performance individuals, they don't care about people being busy. They care about productivity. They care about results. And so if you're busy all week, all month, and you're not producing any results, that doesn't mean shit to anybody. And again, this can be applied to your life, not just business, with your marriage, with your parents, parenting program, with your, if you're an employee at a business. This applies heavily if you're an employee at a business, right? They don't care if you're busy. They don't want you to be busy. They want you to be productive. I know me as an employer, I don't want people to be busy. I want people to be productive, and I want them to provide results. The guys that are working for me that have, the higher pay, they're producing results. The ones that aren't making the ideal pay that they want to, because they're still on the busier side of the spectrum. They haven't really transitioned into the productive and efficient side of the pendulum. As soon as they do, their skill's going to go up, their value is going to go up, they're going to become more of an asset to the company. Therefore, I'm going to be able to pay them more, and I'd be happy to do that. And so I think that there's a huge confusion from people thinking that just because someone says they're busy doesn't mean they're actually getting something done. I've had weeks where I'm super busy and I don't get something. It feels like I don't get anything done, or I've gotten very little done. It feels very frustrating because I get caught up in that little vortex of like, okay, thinking I'm busy. I go over this long list that I'm talking about here. I got this long list, but did I actually accomplish some of this stuff? What did some of these things on the list, checking them off and actually finishing those things, what did I actually produce for my life and for my business? That's what I'm measuring now these days. I have a very clear vision and interpretation of what being busy and what being productive looks like. And like I said, very easily people are confusing those two with each other. They think automatically by default, if you're busy, oh, well, he must be productive. He must be making results. That can be said for some people that are busy, but there needs to be you need to decipher what, the difference is, and, what you're doing in your life. If you're the type of individual that's saying you're busy all the time, ask yourself, are you being productive? Or are you just being busy? Or are you just saying you're being busy to get out of things? And that's what I meant by the term being thrown around loosely. A lot of people really hide behind the word busy. They'll say, oh, I'm busy. I'm busy doing this. I'm busy doing that, because they want to use that as a shield to not engage or participate in something. If someone says, hey, can you, if it's a friend, hey, can you make it to this, whatever, I got this event, I'm throwing a party, and the response is, oh, well, I'm actually busy. Or if someone says, if it's a more valuable type of event, someone in let's say your employer, say you're an employee and you're working for a business, and the employer says, hey, there's a volunteer event, a group meeting we're going to have here. I'd like you to make it. It'd mean a lot to me if you can make it. If not, that's okay. And then the employee says, well, I'm actually busy that day. It's important for a person to analyze that and say, are you really busy? And if you aren't, why are you using that word? What can you do to actually make the time to make it to these things, or to make the time to show up to something, whatever the case may be? Show up to, again, I'm going to keep referring to these, to the marriage and the parenting, because I want people to understand that all these things I'm talking about is very relevant to your everyday life. What can you do to make it relevant? What can you do to apply, being busy, gosh, where was I going with that? So basically using busy in your marriage, you know what I mean? People do this all the time. They use that as a term, and you should ask yourself, can you actually not say you're busy and instead say, yes, I'll show up, I'll be there, I'll do this, within your marriage, within your parenting, within your business, as an employee, as a business owner, all these things, basically, as a friend in your friendship, it can be applied in all those scenarios. So again, just know the difference between being busy and productive, and I think we can all agree that being productive is much more valuable and feels a lot better than just being busy. Because trust me, if you're busy and you're not making any results, that's no fun. And then you're not going to be busy eventually. You're not even going to make any, you're not going to have results. You're not going to be productive, and you certainly won't be busy because it's not going to pay off for you. Being busy in itself alone does not pay off. It doesn't do any good for your confidence level. It doesn't do any good for your self-esteem. doesn't do any good for other people having confidence in you as well. And so stop hiding behind the busy term and understand what being busy and being productive actually means. And ask yourself those questions, can you be more productive instead of being busy? So yeah, it's good stuff, valuable stuff. I mean, I don't know if anybody's getting as much valuable from this as I am, but like I said, I highly encourage my friends, my family, anybody who watches this, really just think about this and see if this can really apply to you in your life. I know it can. You just got to look at it. You got to have an open mind. You got to look for ways. You can't just be so disconnected from stuff. You can't be pulled away from an Instagram video just like that and get sucked into YouTube video here. It gets sucked into people getting your attention so many different directions. Just got to stay focused. All right, here's something I want to talk about, because this is something I learned in myself by also listening to Grant Cardone a while back. I learned this a while back, but I heard him say this again on the 10X boot camp that I watched. And by the way, I think it was 3.5 hour long video. So it's an event. I think it's like a three-day event. Actually, I think it's a 6 hour event in the day, and they take a break, or lunch rather, in between that. And so there's a lot of content in there, just a ton of content. And the first video was just the first 3.5 hours. So I'll start watching the second part of that here as when I'm done with this, if I got time tonight or tomorrow. But good stuff. But again, the thing that he brought up again was when he talks about compliments, or I don't know how he put it, but for me, this is how I wrote it down. Compliments are dangerous for me. And what do I mean by that? When I do something productive, and I provide results, and and I'm around people who kind of fluff me up and compliment me and say, man, you're doing a good job. Friends and family do this a lot too, and it's great, they should, but you got to understand where you're at, with you got to check your ego level. You got to check, you got to be realistic with yourself, and you got to reality check yourself, because for me, and like most people, when you hear compliments, like that, like, oh man, you're doing so good, you're improving, you're growing, you do this, you're so active, how do you stay motivated, all these things, it starts, you start feeling good about yourself. It feels great. And when you do that, I find myself, when I do that, let's talk about myself. When I do that, I start relaxing a little bit. It's just a natural thing. People are complimenting you. I start relaxing a little bit. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of proud of myself, and I notice that I lose focus a little bit. My target starts getting blurry. And that I've acknowledged since I've heard that term and that whole topic being brought up to me. I've paid attention to it. And so I have to reality check myself, because I know myself. And when I hear compliments like that, it's not any good for my production levels, and it's not very good for my motivation. You would think it's the opposite. You would think when someone compliments you and when someone gives you credit where credit may be due, that it actually might help you. But in fact, for me, and I would also argue for most people, it does the opposite. It gets you comfortable. It gets you satisfied. It gets you reducing your activity levels. And this is so true for me. I'm just being realistic. This happens for me, and it wasn't until I realized it and I noticed it that I actually had to make a conscious effort that when I am around people who are doing that to me, it's great. I'm not going to acknowledge it. I'm not going to disregard that. I'm not going to ask them not to. But what I'm going to do is react to it much differently and almost be numb to it, almost be deaf to it. my response to something like that would be like, yeah, that's great, man. I really appreciate that. My default now is just, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And that's it. It literally is just like, I'm just like Teflon to it, and water to Teflon. It just hits me and rolls off the back, because I don't want to live in that comfortable feel good spot of compliments. I just, it's not benefiting me at all. And that is something I've learned that's been so valuable for me as well. And I think it could for you as well. And again, I think that can also be applied to everything in your life. I'm going to say it again: marriage, parenting, employee relationship. Pardon the lawnmower. Hopefully that's not too loud, but I got these, the two youngsters that I talked about. I don't know if you guys remember, like 3 or 4 podcast episodes ago, I talked about how I hired 2 young boys to mow my lawn and wash my trucks for me a couple times a month. And well, they're here right now, so you can probably hear the lawnmower. But super, very good kids, do a good job. And I've been able to provide them a little bit of value. And they got a good head on their shoulders. I feel much better about these 2 young boys who are good kids to do the job than one of the 20 plus grown adults that responded to my ad. I think they're going to get a lot more value. I think they've gotten more value out of that opportunity and this experience than they ever would have. So pretty happy with that decision. And again, there's been a couple of times where they could have done a better job, but I point that out to them, let them know, like, hey kids, I'm paying you pretty good. So you got to do a good job. Let's pay attention to these things right here. Let's pay attention, a little bit more attention to that. I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not saying this to you guys to be a douchebag. I'm saying this to you so you can be prepared for other people who are in fact douchebags and are real, PIBs when it comes to attention to detail. I'm pretty relaxed for the most part, but I'm kind of just preparing you guys for every type of possibility that you're going to run into. So yeah, good experience. I love those kids. But anyways, pardon the lawn mowing. I could hear them getting started out there. I told them I was going to be doing a podcast and that I couldn't be bothered for the next couple hours. So I think they're just wanting to get started on that. So where were we here? So yeah, to wrap that up, compliments are dangerous for me. They should be for you. Let them, just acknowledge them and figure out how compliments play a part in your life and how you react to compliments. Okay, let's talk about it's not who you know, let's talk about this. It's not who you know, it's who knows you. This has been valuable for me in my business, and particularly kind of in my personal life as well, but more specifically this has been a little geared towards my business and all the businesses. Technically I'm in a band. We're in a band. We've been in a band for over 6 years. Even this has been applied towards a band. No band is gonna make it or even be heard. In order to get people to pay attention to you, you need their attention. And it's not who you know. That's what he means that's what Grant means when he says it's not who you know, it's who knows you. That means you should be putting out there and getting attention, putting out there content. Social media is something that can be used for bad and something that could be used for good. When we're talking about using it for good, this is one of the best ways you can utilize social media. Getting attention, letting people know what you do, how you do it, how you carry yourself. You can do, live selfie videos. You can do posted content daily. There's an unlimited amount of posts you can do. That is the easiest, cheapest. It's price free really, unless you start paying for ads. Organic content posting is free, and it's the best way to get out there and start getting people to know you for something you want to be known for. If it's something you want to be known for, like playing music, owning a business, doing art, building furniture, coaching, agriculture, you plant stuff and you sell it, or you're teaching somebody how to do something, anything possible, guitar lessons. All this stuff requires you to get attention. It doesn't matter who you know. Yes, that might help, but but that is not the end all be all to getting a frequency and traffic and getting eyes on you and getting that attention that you want. Attention needs action. You need action to be taken, and you need to start doing that in the form of the most simplest way and cheapest way to do that, which could be social media. Could be other ways too, but right now, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, all those sites, obviously they got God, what is that new site? God, I can't think of it now. I mean, obviously there's things like TikTok and all those things, but it's just a great way to get your attention out there, right? And that's an example of how you can get people to know you instead of waiting around for this magic moment or looking for this magical person that you're gonna know to help you that's gonna do the work for you. You need to put in the work. You need to get people to know you, and you need to get their attention. It's quite the opposite of what you were taught growing up, right? When you were a kid, a lot of some parents are teaching their kids to not be so outgoing. Settle down. Don't be so hyper. Which I get some of that, but to be realistic, being hyper is a form of getting attention. Instead of encouraging kids, for instance, young boys, they give them, they think Ritalin is the answer. You should teach the kid and redirect him to spend that energy on redirect that energy towards something positive. Don't put the kid on Ritalin. It's the worst scenario ever. It's the worst solution, which is not a solution, by the way. But that's an example of how we were all taught this. I was taught that too. My parents, I love my mom, I love my stepdad, and I love my other stepdad I had, who's passed away. Rest in peace, Jim. But they all, I don't know if they were taught it, but they all kind of, encouraged me to, reduce my energy level, basically chill out, stop trying to get so much attention. And obviously there's a right way and a wrong way to get attention, and that just goes back to good parenting, and back to what I said about redirecting the energy in a positive form. But we're all, for the majority of us, we're probably taught that, and one of the things that Grant has taught me early on when I first started following him 3 years ago was, you need attention. You should be trying to get as much attention as possible. You should talk to strangers. All these things are just bass backwards from what you should be doing to grow anything. Grow the people that know you, and or a business, anything. All right. So yeah, it's great advice. It's not who you know, it's who knows you. So you should be taking action. Here's one. Yeah, and again, I don't think. I'm gonna do one more of these. The rest of these I'll recycle into the next Contagious Combo for episode 72. Just because I want to get into the review section and review Brandon Dawson's experience and his interview during that 10X Growth Conference event, because that guy is super. That guy impacted me quite a bit, and I can't wait to where I start actually working with him and helping and having him help me rather scale my business. So yeah, we already talked about this. No, we didn't talk about that, so that's not a check mark. Okay, there's too many good things I want to talk about, and I don't know what to pick, so I'll just go down the list, and whatever, these other important ones are just gonna have to wait. That's the tough, gotta make them tough choices. But yeah, this one was really important for me, particularly in my business. But when I think about this term, it also could be applied to my life. It is very relevant to my life. But this is such a hard lesson for me to learn too, by the way, and just made me shift my mindset from one side to the next, from one complete viewpoint to the exact opposite. And it is that people do not cost money. It is not making money that costs money. And this was very important for me to hear in my business, because I was always afraid to scale because of the payroll costs, right? I was always afraid I gotta to hire this person, I gotta pay him 40K a year or whatever, 30, 40, 50K a year. And so that always, it kept me small. It has kept me small. And even now I'll catch myself kind of going back to that old thought process and having that be a deciding factor for me making a decision on something that I know I need to do, and I know I should be doing, making a decision on, rather quickly. I know what needs to be done, but instead, sometimes I'll catch myself thinking that, oh, well, people cost money, but in fact, it is not that. And when I'm talking about as far as how it applied to my business, I didn't want to hire somebody. I didn't want to hire a sales rep. I didn't want to hire more laborers, a lead, because it costs more money. I'm going to be losing more money. And the way I used to think about that was like, okay, if I hire them and I have to pay them that much, that's money that I could have pocketed, right? But the problem with that is I found myself that I was not able to scale the business. I can't sell the volume that I'm selling right now if I'm out there actually building, which I've had my fill on, by the way. I don't want to build anymore. I like it. There's a passion for it still. But I got burnt out on doing it every day. I still like the sense of achievement that you get when you build a massive, $100,000 sunroom and a deck and all kinds of stairs and add-ons and all this high-end outdoor living, and you step back and look at it and you think, oh wow, I did that. I've been working on this for 2 months and I built that. That feels really good. But the reality is I can't scale without hiring people. It's going to require me to make money, and that's also going to, that's going to require me to hire people and pay them money. But more importantly, it's going to require me to make more money. And so for me to justify that, my activity levels need to really ramp up. I need to advertise a little bit more. I need to really ramp up that organic content posting to the followers and the likes and the basically the followers that I already currently have. That organic content posting goes a long way. And when they see you, they see your face, they see your posted content, they see pictures of what you've done, and you're doing that regularly. You're just hitting them every day, and they see this every day. Eventually they're going to take action on what they've been on the fence about. And so that's really paid off for me. Definitely I have been able to justify hiring people because I have increased my the cash flow that's been coming into the business. And so that's how I realized, he's totally right. Not making money, it does cost money. Now, if you think about this in a life setting, right? Let's just say your family setting. If you think, if you view your child as a liability, right? Kind of like Robert Kiyosaki talks about. He really teaches the importance of identifying what an asset and a liability is. And I've taught this to my daughter. She's very educated on this. We bought the How to Escape the Rat Race book. I read it to her a while ago. She really enjoyed it. So she got the concept a little bit. She obviously won't understand it fully until she gets older, but it's incepted her. But if you use this as an example, if I use this statement as an example, in your life and in your family, let's just say, if you believe that your kid is a liability, which they are, it's not a bad thing. You just understand what's a liability. Liabilities cost you money. Not saying that you should view your children as a piece of material. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying to look at this in a negative light at all. I'm saying be realistic about this. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket, okay? Whether it's a person, whether it's a piece of device, it is what it is. So there's no negative connotation about this. It's just a realistic part of life. Now, if your child costs a lot of money, whether they are 8 years old, like Malia is, and thinking about those expenses, right? About $1,200 in daycare. We just spent $1,000 on her new glasses and her eye care, dental care. Those types of things. If you think about that on that level, or if you think about your 17-year-old graduate teenager who's on his way to college, right? And now you're investing, you buy him a vehicle, you've been spending money on their college, you've been forking out thousands of dollars to them. Using that statement that people do not cost money, not making money costs money, that can be applied in that scenario too. If you're not making enough money, you're not going to be able to justify being able to do that. You should make enough money, so much money, that dropping money like that on a car, on college, on daycare, on glasses, on things that come up in life that cost money, that's not going to be an issue for you if you make enough money, right? That's what the whole goal is. Make enough money to where these problems or these they're not problems. It's just a drop in the bucket for you, or it's very easy for you to justify paying this money because you got cash flow coming in and it's not a concern. So that's an example of how that statement has worked very well for me in scaling my business. That's an example of how that can work very well in your life as well, as far as your viewing of how not making enough money is impacting your life and your expenses. All right, very valuable stuff. I don't know if anybody who watches this is the amount of value that I got from these as I did, but this stuff blew my mind to just think about it in a different way. And it's been way beneficial for me, right? This is not gimmicky stuff. It's not cliche stuff. This is stuff that is proven to work. I was skeptical at first, barely, but not really. Once I actually absorbed the content and I knew it, it was no brainer for me. Anybody who has a slight bit of wanting to improve their life will understand that by hearing some of these statements and applying it to their life and seeing how it would apply. They get it. They understand it. They're going to take action. They're going to start taking some steps, whether it's baby steps or big steps. They're going to do it, and they're going to see how valuable it is, and how, and not even understand how they were living their life prior to that. So I don't know. It's very valuable stuff for me. This is why I absorb this content every day. I've been on this kick for 3 years. It's only the last few months that I've been doing it every single day. Because I, consistently, there's times where I definitely did do it for every single day, but then, I'd watch some content, once a week, twice a week. There's never really been a consistency of me doing it every single day, and I have been now. And so that's the stuff that's really been a game changer, is doing something, the things that you value most. You should be doing it every day. You should be very focused on it every single day. It should be on the forefront of your mind, so that you are working towards your goal. Everything you do is working towards your goals, right? So hopefully that's some beneficial stuff. Like I said, this stuff, I'm just blown away by it. I love hearing this stuff. I like passing it on. I like teaching this to other people. If I can help people, like I said, and when I say teaching, that doesn't mean I know it all. Absolutely not. I am still a teacher that's being taught as well. And so what I like to do is just really, that's part of my licensee trainee program as well. I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be coaching businesses. I'm going to be coaching anybody who's looking to increase their revenue. You know what I mean? And that's going to involve going through some of this basic stuff that has helped me. You know what I mean? I got to replicate, I got to mimic, master, and replicate. Can't think of the saying right now until I actually review Brandon Dawson's saying, but I'm going to mimic and master these things and replicate it so that I can help somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, this is some valuable stuff. It really is. All right, so let's get into this before I run out of some time here. So I've been last episode, had a really good episode, by the way, with Charles Hearn. He's an individual that I met at the 10X Growth Conference in Miami back in March. Super sharp individual. I would say he's successful, especially for how old he is. I think he says he's 28. He's already got a business that's got a couple different locations. It's the most profitable business in his industry and in his market that's doing the best as far as timeshare cancellation programs. And if you weren't watching the episode, go back, episode 70. we talked a lot about some of this stuff, and he talked a lot about Brandon Dawson because he took the what they call the 10x 360 program, and it's basically about scaling a business. And the individual who teaches that is Brandon Dawson, who partnered up with Grant Cardone. And Brandon Dawson did a interview and spoke at the 10X Growth Conference for, whatever, an hour plus. And the amount of valuable content that guy delivered in a short period of time was also mind-blowing. I mean, that's probably the third or fourth time I said mind-blowing, but there's really no other word to explain it. It was just so impactful, I guess would be another great word for me. That guy's not just the delivery, but the valuable content itself, the things that he had me realize by what he has brought to my attention. So let me review some of that stuff and what I picked up from him. Very sharp guy. All right, so wait, where the hell did he go? Here we go. No. Here we go. Okay. Now, mind you, Brandon Dawson's very business focused, but again, all this stuff can apply to your life. It really can. So some of the keynotes that I took in his speech was the people that hire the people to fix problems created the problem. That was something important for me to hear as well. Because I like that because it's in alignment with my level of accountability that I always value. I like to take accountability as much as possible and look for ways to be accountable, even if it might seem that I'm not accountable for it in the least bit. I want to be accountable. I want it to be something that I can change, and in order for me to be able to change something, I need to hold myself accountable for it. So I love that statement regarding the problems that he talked about. People that hire the people to fix problems created the problem. That's really for again, that can be referred that can be applied to your life in so many different ways. If there's a problem in your life, think really hard about how you contributed to that problem. Why is that problem relevant? Why is that current? Why is that a thing that's a problem in your life right now? What did you do? How did you contribute? What did you not do to get to that point, to have to deal with this problem? Did you not get in front of it in time? Did you not, like I talked about earlier, getting in front of those problems instead of solving? Did you put something off? There's a ton of different reasons why this is valuable, and a ton of different reasons, or a ton of different ways this can be applied to your life as well. So I would think about that. Some good stuff there as far as accountability goes. The other thing he said was find growth, people, profit, and live by being the leader people respect because of results. That is very powerful stuff as well. That goes in alignment with what I said about being busy and being productive. He's not talking about being busy. He's talking about results. He said it right there in his statement, results. And in order to do that, it's going to require to find growth. It's going to require you to grow, grow your skill set, grow your mentality, grow your viewpoints, grow your people, your network of positive people. And don't reach down, don't reach sideways, reach up. I've been taught that as well. Reach up. Don't be the smartest person in the room. As you may have heard Charles talk about last podcast, you need to not look to be the smartest person in the room. You need to be in a room full of people that are much smarter than you so that you can learn from them. And if you are in a room, if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, which is a quote that I can't remember who said that, but Charles Hearn repeated that quote on last week's episode, which I really love that quote. Something to be learned with that. So yeah, find growth, people, find profit, and live by being a leader in your life, a leader in your family, a leader in your business, a leader as an employee even. Just be a leader in your department, in your corner, that people respect because of the amount of results and the kind of results that you produce. That is huge. Super good advice. All right, 3 reasons. Now this is definitely business related, but I'm gonna think about this to see if this can be applied to life as well, because I swear to God, every single thing could be relevant to your life. 3 reasons businesses fail. Lack of demand. Number 1, lack of demand. Number 2, can't find people. Can't find good people. That's been a huge part for me. Number 3, can't get financing. So let's talk about lack of demand. Lack of demand goes back to, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. The reason you have a lack of demand is because the people don't know you. And in the great words of Grant Cardone, if they don't know you, they can't flow you. You got to get that attention. Money follows attention. And so if you have a lack of demand in your product, in your service, in your industry, it's because you are not getting that attention. And so that's huge. That's a big, and again, I'm pretty sure that can be applied to your life. If you're demanding, everybody has a demand, right? It can be, I demand attention. I demand respect. I demand results. I demand you to look at me in the eyes. I demand this. If you are lacking that, it's because of the amount of people that don't know you, and the quality of people that might contribute to that as well. Can't find people. Can't find good people. You've heard people say this. You've heard the old saying, man, it's good help is hard to find, right? I used to say that nice little saying when, I was struggling to find a good lead. I was struggling to find people. It can be true to a point, but the reality is, again, if you're just not getting enough feelers out there and you're not getting enough people to know you, that's a result of, can't finding people is a result of that. If enough people know you, you really have pick of the litter. There's got to be a good person out there that's perfect for your fit. Not everybody's going to be a good fit, right? You got to go through it. Volume is the key to that. Finding good people definitely requires a lot of scouting, a lot of vetting, and a lot of trial and error. And I've found this out quite a bit the hard way too. And it's something I just don't take personally anymore. I do the best I can to vet people and see if they're going to be the right fit. But if they're not a big deal. If you're not going to work for us, then, out the door you go. You're going to have to move on. We're not working out. It's okay. You might work out somewhere else, but here you're not working out. And so I'm okay with that now. I need to, my focus is on to the next person. Who's next? Are you going to be the person? Let's put you to the test. That's my focus now. And that can be, that can definitely be related or relevant to your life as well. Trying to find people that you trust, trying to find good people, just good-hearted people who have a give mentality, people instead of just take. That could be hard to find, and you gotta go through. You don't know people until you know them, and that's just part of that process. You gotta go through. You can't find people is not a good excuse. You gotta put yourself out there. You gotta get attention. This can be, this could apply to friendships, dating sites. If you can't find a good girl, can't find a good man, this is all relative. The reason you can't is because you're not doing enough. You're looking in the wrong places maybe, and you're not getting enough attention. All right, so the other thing is can't get financing. This obviously is more appropriate for business, but not getting the right financing can come in different forms. It can be looked at differently in different ways. Whether you're getting a business loan to apply to use business debt to grow, or if you're even applying it to your life. Let's say you're looking to get finance for a car, right? And you can't get someone to give you a loan. that could be a reason why, I know that the example here was three reasons why businesses fail, but we'll just say, this could also be 3 reasons why you're failing. It really can. If you just replace some words here, 3 reasons why you fail. All this stuff can, lack of demand. It can be relative. I talked about that earlier. Can't find people. We just talked about that. And then getting financing. Absolutely. People get stuff financed all the time. And this could be a reason why you are failing if you can't if you can't get financing on something. Oh, by the way, something I taught my daughter early on is to understand the difference between consumer debt and business debt. And I think that's very important, because I'm not talking about, in this scenario, in this example that Brandon's talking about, 3 reasons why business fail. We're talking about business debt, not talking about when we're talking about can't get financing, I'm not talking about financing for a personal vehicle, maybe for a business vehicle, or for a vehicle that you use to travel, to do sales or something, it's business related. That's an investment. That's a business debt investment. So yeah, understanding the difference between consumer debt and business debt is very important. That's some of the most valuable, one of the most valuable things that I've learned as well. And when I make a purchase, not saying I don't have consumer debt, I have consumer debt too. But understanding what it is makes me very selective with where I'm spending my money. And, I try not to spend too much money on something that's not going to bring me back money, unless it's a huge hobby of mine and a huge passion of mine. All right. Conditions of failure. This is good. Conditions of failure: pulling, indecision, and insecurity. Now these 3 things, this is huge. Sorry, I had a text that went right in the way of my reading. Pulling. Let's talk about pulling. Conditions of failure in a business. Trying to how this is, in case we don't know, you don't understand what pulling is, getting outside suggestions, getting advice from too many people. You're pulling, you're taking a tally, you're getting people's thoughts on it without actually making a decision. Indecision, huge. Not taking action. Man, you put yourself in paralysis without taking the saying goes, paralysis, you put yourself in paralysis with too much analysis, right? And so with indecision, it goes hand in hand. You're just paralyzing yourself. You don't know what to do. And on top of that, your insecurity is feeding that. The longer you stay indecisive, the more insecure you become, and the more likely you are to not make a decision on something rather than actually make a decision on something. And that's why it's really important to not always get too much advice, if at all, from people. You should always go with what you think is right, what needs to be done, and make that decision. Just do it. But yeah, this can be, we all know pulling, for example, is very relative, or it can be very relevant to your life, in the form of, everybody, a lot of people they value other people's opinion way too much, and they care what other people think way too much, and that plays a part in their decision making, because they want to know they want to know the feedback, whether it's positive feedback or negative feedback, so that they can make their decision based on that. And that's one of the most shackling things you could do to yourself. You are really restricting yourself from growing and from actually doing something, taking action. Stop caring about what other people think. Yes, you can, obviously to a certain point, you're going to care about what people think, the way you dress, the way you carry yourself. But when it comes to a decision being made, do not take advice from the wrong people. All right. This is something I've done many times, and a lot of people do this all the time still, and will all the time for years into their adult years. So some of the most valuable things. Matter of fact, I think I learned that from Gary Vee. You know, he talks a lot about he's pretty upfront about it, pretty aggressive, and he'll just tell you, I don't give a fuck what other people think, is in the great words of Gary Vee. He just does it, and there's a liberating feeling to that as well, because I also noticed a huge pivot in my action, my production, and my results when I realized that I should not be caring what people think. I should not be pulling for feedback so much when I'm making a decision. So that's good stuff. I mean, just basic 3 conditions of failure. So conditions of success. Brandon Dawson talked about. Number 1, having a mentor. Number 2, decisiveness, which would be the opposite of being indecisive. And number 3, confidence, which is the opposite of insecurity. Those, very simply, I've applied those to my life. It's been a game changer, a massive game changer. I'm not talking about a little bit here, a little bit there. My life has transformed. Had to get rid of some people, and again, that's something that I talked a little bit about. I don't know if we're even going to get to it in the viral viewpoint, but in order to grow, you got to get rid of some people in business and in life. And a lot of people understand what I'm talking about. Unless you're that type of person who just surrounds yourself with constant negativity, and you always will, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And that has helped me quite a bit. So being looking for a mentor, which I have, there's a lot of people that I've gotten value from, content from. Some of the guys right off the top of my head: Stefan Arnio, Dan Locke, Dan Pena, David Goggins, Gary Vee, Grant Cardone. A lot of people, right? There's too many people to look up to, but what I did was kind of sifted through all those to find out who I get the most value out of. And out of all those people, Oren Klaff was another one. I got a lot of sales and pitching from him, and psychology of how the mind works. Got a lot of value out of that guy too. But ultimately, I decided to stick with a couple people. Those 2 people was Grant Cardone, number 1. Number 2 would be David Goggins. So I really look to Grant Cardone. He is my mentor. I've paid about $40,000 in products, in content and stuff that's just helped me transform tremendously. And so finding a mentor is huge, especially if you just don't know what to do. You got to find somebody smarter. You got to find somebody who's done something, someone who might have some answers to things you don't have answers for. That's just how it goes. And a lot of times they're not in your friends and family. They have valuable advice, some of them, but for the majority of it, they're just probably not that individual unless you have you come from a family who has a lot of high performance individuals in your family. It's just not going to happen, more than likely. So you got to reach up, you got to reach out, you got to latch on to somebody, you got to really study them. Decisiveness, I think we already talked about that with the conditions of failure. The condition of success would be the opposite of that. Make some decisions. Stop. I know way too many people who just cannot make a decision. This is one of the things that's helped me sell people a lot quicker and get an answer, is when I'll go to a house, I'll do a site plan visit after I pre-qualify them. I'll present a proposal, I'll give them a price right on the spot, and then I'll ask them, what are your thoughts on that? They'll tell me their thoughts. Well, 9 times out of 10, they're like, well, it's a bit more than, we were thinking, it's pretty expensive. We're gonna have to, can you email that to me and so we can think about it? That's the number one response I get from everybody when I go to their house. Yeah, can you email that to me? My response to that is, well, yeah, I can email that to you, but I'm standing right here with it. Also, we can, what's it going to take for you to make a decision? What's one thing that you're looking for that is going to pivot you to making the decision on one side or the other on the fence? And just me asking that question alone gets people thinking on the spot and make a decision. And my conversion rate has gone up so much just by being able to ask that question just to get people to make a decision, even if it's no. I just need a decision to be made so we know, so that you feel, I mean, it's going to be good for both of us. And the other thing I realized in a business, and again, this could be applied to life, people need help making a decision, especially the ones that are indecisive. They need someone who's got the confidence level to project to them like, hey, you know, you can make this decision. Like, what do you need to hear from me? Like, what can I do to help speed this process up? Because you have the power to make this decision. The only person that's holding yourself back is you saying yes or no right now at this very time. So what do you want to do to make that decision? What do you need to hear from me? Do you have any more questions? Is there anything I can do to help you? Just doing that when we're talking about selling, that's just skyrocketed my conversion rate. It's unbelievable how much that's transitioned just by me applying that alone. And again, I think that could be applied to life. We know a lot of people who can't make decisions, right? They don't know what to do, especially when they're polling and they're getting everybody's advice, you know, hearing somebody say this and they're hearing somebody say the opposite of that. And it's just all, you know, they get on social media and they see somebody tweet, you know, like something negative, you know, a lot of that negativity comes from social media, you know. They need someone there to assure them that they're, you know, I'm willing to help you make this decision. What can we do? Let's do this. All right. You just need to make a decision. What do you need to hear from me? It's so powerful, by the way. And the last thing, the conditions of success, that confidence level. When you do what I just talked about, and you're able to actually get people to make a decision, or encourage them, rather, it's not making them, but encouraging them to the finish line of making a decision. There's a big confidence level that comes with that, not only in yourself, but those people that have made a decision, their confidence in you has just scaled up dramatically. It's crazy, but and then they put their trust in you. Their confidence goes up. It's just a win-win. Everybody feels good about themselves, and there's a huge value add in that relationship there. And that's a valuable relationship, right? Whether it's a 1 hour relationship, whether it's a 5-day relationship, whether it's a 2-month relationship or a 2-year relationship, that is a valuable relationship. When you can raise each other's confidence level, come to some decision making, and provide results, provide solutions. It's a great feeling. It really is. All right. Another thing he said was the quality of your questions determines the quality of your results. That is very cool. I like that. Very important. A lot of people don't ask good questions. I've been trying to think about this because I'm still learning how to properly interview people on the podcast, which I've gotten a lot better at. But not asking people yes or no questions and asking some valuable questions so that I can get a quality result, quality answer back. That's really good, even for, you know, a podcast. But if you're trying to learn something from a mentor, even, you should think about really how you can get value out of the question you're going to ask. That's going to help you frame your question the most proper way, the most valuable way, so that you can get a thorough, in-depth response and answer rather than just a basic yes or no question. You gotta learn how to ask the right questions and ask a meaningful conversation that's going to get the wheels turning, that's going to provide a substantial answer and a response. So to be effective, you got to acknowledge, act, and attack. Confusion kills results. Confusion is part of that indecisiveness. No one's going to have results if you can't decide on something. This goes to the person that can't decide whether or not they want to buy something, or to the business owner who can't decide whether they need to spend the money on something. If you're sitting there deciding and you're on the fence, you're polling, you can't figure out what to do, you can't make a decision, you're in this gray area, you are just dramatically killing your results. I've been aware of this for the last couple of years. I use this. I realize this. I have acknowledged this, and it's been very impactful for me as well, especially in, when you use the confusion to when that's applied towards fear, for instance, if fear is getting put into you, if you're, because confusion kind of goes hand in hand with fear. Fear and confusion are really one and the same. A lot of times when people are fearful, it's because they're confused about it. They just don't know. And if you take action immediately, I've done this in many forms in the past couple of years, whether it's going to court, whether it's spending money on something, massive amounts of money on something, thousands of dollars, the $40,000 on a mentoring program that I've talked about, all those types of things. If I was to sit there and wait, the time just feeds the fear. The confusion just feeds the fear. The fear feeds the lack of results, and no action gets taken. I have done this. I lived 35 years of my life not taking action as quickly as I should have. And in the last couple of years, I've really focused on taking action, pulling the trigger on something immediately. And it's again, you want to talk about confidence booster, you want to talk about levels of activity increasing, that does it. It really does. It does it for me. It feels fantastic, and you're going to see the results, which in turn will make you feel fantastic. So here we go. He talks about the growth formula. Promote, profit, process, and people. Which basically means promote, get that attention. Profit, get the process down in which this is working, and repeat it. Get people to get on board with you, duplicate it, grow it. This is the growth formula for a business, obviously. Another thing he says is model, mimic, and master, and multiply. That's the term I could not remember when I was talking about it and referring to it earlier. So model, mimic, and master, and multiply. Again, very valuable advice, especially for a business owner or any entrepreneur, any person that's starting. Even if you're a sole proprietor and you're a one-person business, which you shouldn't always be, by the way. I learned that the hard way. You should grow. You should not always stay to be a one-person business. Model, mimic, master, and multiply, all four of those things. It's such a great formula to scale and get up there real quick. Collaboration, conquering, and value creation. He's talking about collaboration, reaching up. This is what I was talking about. Collaborating, affiliate marketing, the mentoring, getting involved with the community in a network that is in alignment with what your dreams are, your goal is, your growth goal is. That's collaboration. Conquering means get that dominating mindset. You know what I mean? Don't, like Grant Cardone says, you shouldn't compete. You shouldn't aim to compete with anybody. Competition is not for the winners. Domination is for the winners. The people that are doing really well and the businesses that are doing really well, they're dominating the market. They have figured out how to be everywhere and be omnipresent at all times. And they've gotten out of obscurity. And it's the key to success. It's one of the keys to success, rather. Value creation. So I think what he's talking about there is always, looking to add more value, getting creative. Look at your level of commitment so that your level of creativity gets up there in alignment with your level of commitment. And then think about how you can add things to whatever it is that your service, your product, or your hobby. Again, this can be applied to your life. This is something that you're into. If it's just a hobby, think about that stuff. How can you add value if you're trying to get attention to this project that you're on? How can you add value? How can you collaborate? How can you conquer this to, get to show that you're a massive presence in this field, in this project, in this corner, in this department, whatever it is. All those things, very, very, very helpful for me. Again, if you don't know who Brandon Dawson is, he's a very sharp individual. If you're ever thinking about, obviously he's very business geared, but if any of that stuff rang a bell or kind of got the wheels turning, got piqued in interest, check him out. I guess from what Charles Hearn was saying on the last week's episode, he doesn't have a lot of YouTube content on there. But and by the way, this guy's a multimillionaire. Super. He doesn't. It's surprising. You would think that he has a lot of YouTube content out there just because it's kind of like the thing. Usually someone who's got multimillionaire success, they got a lot of content out there. He doesn't. But I guess from what Charles Hearn said, the type of valuable content that is on there is huge, and it's free. So you can check it out, see what I'm talking about. I first learned of the individual when I was on Cardone U, and I was reading or training in the section that talked about how to pivot in the COVID-19 era, in the pandemic. Super valuable stuff, and the guy caught my attention and really just provided a lot of value to me and my business instantly, just by the value, just by the content that he provided. It was incredible. So a super sharp guy. I can't wait to actually I guess I did meet him. I got some pictures with him and stuff, but I can't wait to actually work with him and have him work with me in my business once we get to a level when I start knocking out some of these programs I'm currently in. So yeah, that'll wrap it up for my 10x GrowthCon experience. I'm going to keep plugging away. There's a few different individuals that I need to get to that I haven't reviewed yet. One of them is Glenn Sanford, Tommy Hilfiger. Yes, Tommy Hilfiger, the clothing owner and designer. Don Peebles. Don Peebles, man, that guy knocked it out of the park. And speaking of guys who knocked it out of the park, Alex Rodriguez, pardon the pun, but that guy, former baseball player, really, that guy's a winner. That guy, I highly admire him. I'm not a huge baseball fan, but I am Alex Rodriguez fan after hearing his interview. Drew Brees, football player, and then some of GC's quotes and his interview, basically his speech. I'll get to that as we plug away through, as we continue my 10x GrowthCon experience and review. So real quick here, I got 15 minutes, and I probably have a little bit more than that actually, since I started a little bit late, but let's go through this right now. The viral viewpoint. This kind of, and again, I wasn't kidding when I said this episode was going to be highly self-improvement related. I wasn't kidding. I really, as you can tell, you might have noticed, I'm very interested in this. I can't speak right now. I'm very interested in this, and this is something I value very much. This is this is a big part of my life. This is a part of my everyday life. And so this is what I value the most, is growth, improvement, building, the building blocks of life. This is stuff I teach my daughter. This is stuff we learn together. She watches videos with me. She watches the content with me every morning. She's getting some of this value as an 8-year-old. Some of the most beneficial things you could do for your child is to teach them some of these things I'm talking about very early. They might not understand it. They might not get it. But consistency will eventually incept the mind, and it will positively influence them later on as they develop and they realize how this is going to apply to their life. It'll be like light bulbs going off. At least that's the hope, rather. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong and I don't know shit about parenting and I don't know shit about long-term growth. I don't know. I'm just kind of rolling the dice here and doing what I'm teaching, the things that I wasn't taught as a kid that I think would have helped me in my life. So this is valuable stuff. So getting to the viral viewpoint here. In order to grow, I said this earlier, we jumped to it, I brought this up earlier, but in order to grow, you got to get rid of some people in business and in life. You got to get rid of some people. You got to get rid of those people that are dragging you down. You got to distance yourself. You got to let it be known, like, hey man, you all know who this is. We all have a set of friends or family members that are close to us that are real negative, real draggers. They drag you down. They always come at you with problems. They always complain. We know all these people, right? Maybe you were one of these people at one time. I was one of these people one time. Sorry to say that, but this is true. And in order to get rid of people, you're gonna have to let it be known, like, hey, this is what I'm about. I don't want any negativity. If you're gonna be a part of my life, if you can't just cut them out of your life, or you can't do that, or you don't want to. Another example, or another way you could possibly do that is just let them know, like, hey, I'm about this. I'm about positivity. I'm about X, Y, Z. And so if you're gonna always come to me with this, I just don't want it, man. I just don't come to me with any of that negativity. It's bad for my mental health. I'm on a mission here, and you're not a part of that if you're just constantly coming at me with the stuff that I don't value. So there's ways to handle that, and that's one of them. So yeah, but in order to grow, in order to move on, in order to get better at something, in order to better your position in something, you're gonna have to make some sacrifices. I was talking to somebody on social media about this a while back, because I think she was making a statement about her work, and maybe she was wondering, she I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's something to the effect of, like, she knows that she has more potential. She's thinking about doing this, thinking about doing that, and I suggested to her that, maybe you should look at your life and see if there's a potential, that potentially you might have to make some sacrifices to get ahead. This could look different for you. I don't know what that means for you in your personal life, but in my experience, I've had to make massive sacrifices in order to get ahead, in order to do, this is not anything negative. This is all positive, by the way. I don't want this to be misinterpreted as making a sacrifice to get ahead in a negative way. Not even. On the contrary, actually, usually the sacrifice involves shedding negativity to progress and grow, so that you can keep adding these building blocks, like I mentioned earlier, to your skill and your tool belt. But yeah, a lot of people, they have a hard time with that. They have a hard time acknowledging who the haters and the people that are dragging them down are in their life. And a lot of them have a hard time doing it because they know who it is, and a lot of times it's your friends and family, and that's hard for people to do sometimes, but it's just a fact of life. If you want to be more successful, chances are you're not going to find it in your close group of friends and family, and you're going to have to probably lose some of them, or at least just separate yourself from them a little bit. It's just a hard reality and a sacrifice that most of us have to make. The other thing is, think of people that don't provide value in your life. This is kind of relevant to what I was just saying. Think of those people that just don't provide any value to your life at all. And a matter of fact, incept a little bit of negativity into your life. Those are the people we're talking about. You might have to lose them. You might have to put that stiff arm up and say, hey man, I don't want that here. I'm not all about that. Yeah, come correct, or we just can't see each other. I can't be around you. So I hope you understand. I hope we can work something out, but that's just kind of where I'm at. So think of those people, who they are, and acknowledge that first. Think of the people that lack ambition and execution. All right. There's a lot of people that might be ambitious, but there's, true ambition is followed up with execution, at least in my world. When someone's really ambitious, it's usually because they've executed on something and they've made some results. They're productive, not busy. So think about people in your life, in your close circle, friends, family, who lack that ambition and just don't execute on anything. They talk a lot. They talk about, oh, it'd be nice to. A lot of that conversation comes in that form. Oh, it'd be nice to. I've always wanted to. I think I'd like to. None of that means shit until you actually put that in motion and make some steps to get to that point. And usually it takes some massive action. Not a little bit of here, a little bit of there, and expecting some results. You got to do a lot here, a lot there, and then do more and keep doing more. So, keep an eye out for those people. Acknowledge. Do an inventory. Do an inventory of your close circle. So that's pretty much it. We already talked about the people. I talked about the people that drag you down, most likely are your friends and family. So I just wanted to talk about that as a viral viewpoint, so that people can take a look at their own life and the type of people that they're surrounded with, and the type of value that is being provided through that shared relationship. Think about the value you provide to them. Think about the value they provide to you. Is there any value? Should there be any value? What could it actually look like? Like, what could a great relationship actually look like and feel like if it was your ideal template of a great relationship? All right. So let's get into got a little bit of minutes here. Let's squeeze in my rant here. So my rant is, let's talk about this again. I'm going to call this the vaccine talk part 2. This is rant part 2, right? This is a 2-part rant. Not now, but I already talked about this rant on a different podcast. I think it was episode 69, where I was complaining about, I'm kind of getting tired of people asking me if I've taken the vaccine. It's a conversation starter now. The go-to conversation starter is the vaccine right now. Have you gotten the vaccine? Have you gotten the vaccine? I just got the vaccine. I just got vaccinated. Have you? Are you going to? I'm so irritated with it. I don't want to talk about the damn vaccine. I don't want to. I talked about this last podcast. It should be viewed as politics, religion. You shouldn't. There's things you shouldn't talk about. With the majority of people. Obviously, there's some people you can talk to about that stuff. But in general, on average, those things you shouldn't talk about. Politics, abortion, religion. Let's go ahead and throw vaccines in there too, because it's uncomfortable for me. I don't want to, and it's uncomfortable for me in particular because I'm not going to get the vaccine. I don't want to. And a lot of people, the majority of people are getting the vaccine. And so, it's not the people that are like, oh, okay, yeah, well, it is what it is. I respect your opinion. It's the people that hear that and they ask the follow-up question. Well, why not? Why aren't you getting the vaccine? Don't you believe in science? Can I ask why? Why? What's it going to take for you to be convinced? Like, if you're so concerned about me getting a vaccine, go be a fucking spokesperson for Moderna or for Fauci or for Biden or for all these people that are promoting the vaccine. All right, it's not. And then don't give me the card about, oh, well, it's not a personal choice. Like, it's not a matter of, people having the right to do it or not do it, because you're jeopardizing by spreading it. You're going to spread to somebody else. Again, I don't want to get the 3rd degree from somebody I just met, or even friends and family I know, about me spreading the virus. Okay. And then talk about the herd immunity again. The 2 biggest things I hear about this in the argument is, oh, we're never going to reach herd immunity, or the problem with us not getting herd immunity is because it's people like me not getting the vaccine, right? That's the one thing. The other thing is, well, that is it really. Oh, spreading. That's the second part of it. They're worried about people spreading it. And again, what about, it's just confusing to me. So don't expect me to get a vaccine that I'm so confused on. I've already had it. I think last year I was super sick. There's no way it could have been anything else other than COVID-19. So I should be considered already in the part of the herd immunity, right? I should be in the herd. I've already been subjected to it, whether it's natural immunity or it's a vaccine. I've already had it. So I don't understand. There's still this question about whether if somebody's getting a vaccine but they still have to wear a mask because they're spreading it, what is the fucking point of getting a vaccine? I guess to reduce the chances of dying from it, maybe. Okay, but let's stop talking about the spreading of it and how I can spread it to somebody because I'm not getting a vaccine, right? My answer to that is, if you're super concerned about the thing spreading and you're that scared about dying from it, don't leave your house, all right? Don't leave your house. Don't invite people to your house. Don't get in large groups. Protect yourself instead of actually giving people like me the 3rd degree about not getting vaccinated. I don't want the vaccination, all right? You're not going to convince me. At least I won't even say that, because I am open-minded. It's going to take a lot of convincing. You would have to sit down with me for a couple hours to talk to me about the pros and cons of not getting vaccinated and getting vaccinated for me to even consider anything. but having a very broad pitch and such an aggressive campaign, I'll call it, on why people should get vaccinated, I'm not interested in that. I'm simply not. But anyways, sorry to rant so much about that, but I am tired of it. I really wish people would stop asking. It's such a, whether or not we should get vaccinated or we shouldn't, or whether people, Fauci's right about it or we're wrong. It is a huge brainwashing thing, even if it's positive brainwashing. People have been consumed by this, and you got the everyday person being a spokesperson for the vaccine. I mean, they've done a fantastic job at this. I'm going to sales appointments. I'm having homeowners I haven't even met. I'm meeting in 30 minutes. Pitch me to take a vaccine. That's powerful. That's the power of that type of campaign that they put out there. So it's pretty impressive, actually. I wish I could do that and get people to promote my message like that. So anyways, that's my rant. Let's stop talking about herd immunity. Let's please stop talking about spreading. There's still a lot of unanswered shit around this. Yes, I believe in science. There's no consistent science with this, in my opinion. So it just is what it is. So if someone has a lot more knowledge on this, some factual evidence, wants to have like a 2-hour conversation about just this, I'm open-minded for it. Like I said, I'm not an old man set in his ways or anything, you know what I mean? Like, I do have an open mind about it, but as of now, I am leaning towards not being interested in the vaccine. So stop talking to me about it unless we're going to have an intelligent conversation about this, okay? All right. That was a PSA to a lot of my homeowners that are out there. A lot of people that are pitching that and asking that all the time. So anyways, that's going to wrap it up for us, guys. I appreciate everybody who follows this, who gives, anybody who's, supported this, supported anything that I've been, even if you don't agree with everything I say, I really appreciate you supporting. I really appreciate anybody who's came on here and had an opposite opinion and a viewpoint than me on some of these topics. All right, because I value everybody's opinion, and I appreciate the person who can actually riff with me, and especially the ones that aren't in alignment with some of the things I talk about, and tell me, like, hey, I don't think I don't agree with that, and here's why. I love that, because it's an example of me showing how, like, hey, we can not agree on this, and that doesn't mean I don't like you. And more importantly, that doesn't mean I have to cancel you. And more importantly, that doesn't mean I have to cut you off. I don't have to cut people out of my life that have a different viewpoint. Unless they have a very bitter attitude about it and they're projecting that, I'm an idiot, or I don't know what I'm talking about, or whatever, then it's going down a different path. That we live in this society now where a lot of people, like, if they're not talking to somebody who's in alignment with all their viewpoints, they check out. They distance themselves from this person, or they cancel them, and they want to make sure this person's eradicated from stuff, and they want to expose them for this harsh viewpoint. Like, whatever happened to the days where we can have a disagreement and still respect each other? Let's keep that alive. That's what I'm hoping this podcast can do. Aside from, the self-improvement I talk about, that is part of self-improvement right there. Having a disagreement and still respecting each other. Let's do that. All right. Let's focus on that. I think a lot of people need to hear that. There's not enough of that. Matter of fact, it's just getting worse with the cancel culture and the woke community. The guys need to just chill out a little bit, guys. Let's have a little bit of respect. If you don't like something, don't consume it. If you don't like something, better yet, create something that is not in alignment with that to dominate the message that you don't like. Instead, people look to cancel instead of creating their own thing to put their own message out there. Super backwards, right? Tearing down instead of building up. It's stupid. It really, there's no other word for that. So let's focus on respecting people we disagree with, and let's focus on maybe even creating something that we're not in alignment with to get our message out there. All right, that takes skill, that takes ambition, that takes all the things I just talked about, execution, massive action, all the things Grant Cardone talks about, all the things I've learned. That takes some actual results and productivity. That doesn't take you being busy. So hopefully you guys caught some of that information in this episode. I think this is a really good episode, actually. I'm kind of glad I stuck with this premise. I feel good about it. I feel like there's a lot of value that I just inputted into this and provided in this one episode, and a lot of it was stuff I learned through this week, condensed all into this nice tight little 2-hour package. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Once again, you can find the podcast, you can find me on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, for the live streams, and for the posted content you'll find that on Instagram, Twitter, and Spotify. Give me a like, give me a share, give me a follow, subscribe, show me some love, give me a little heart emoji with a little circle face, squeezing it and loving it. I love all that stuff. Appreciate it. I value everybody's interaction, everybody's views tremendously. All right, love all you guys, and I appreciate the support. So that's gonna wrap it up. I will see you guys next week. My throat is starting to get a little scratchy, so I'm glad I was able to power through that, and hopefully I feel a lot better tomorrow. Hopefully it's not early signs of COVID-19 again, right? That might convince me to get a vaccine. I don't know. No, not really. All right, so let me leave you guys with that, and I will check you guys next Saturday. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your evening and a fantastic week. Be productive. Don't be busy. But I'm gonna leave you here real quick with the question of the day. What is one way you can start making more money right now? Right now. What is one way you can make more money right now? 2-part question. If your life depended on it, would you do it? If your life depended on it right now, what would you do? That one thing that you could start making more money with right now, if your life depended on it, would you do it? My next question would be like, why aren't you? Act as if your life does depend on it, because it really does. And you have a duty and an obligation to be successful to you and your family. All right. So start thinking in terms of how you can make more money. All right. That was it. I'll leave you guys with that to think about. So thanks again. Great episode. I will see you guys next Saturday. But until then, keep it contagious. Keep it viral. I drew a blank there. I'll see you guys. Take care.